Well, welcome back to another episode of the Beeman Show. Today's episode is going to be kind of a short addition to the March 15th episode where we talked about the depleted quality of the foods that we're purchasing in the store. We talked a little bit about the contaminations in the public water supply. And today, what we're really going to talk about is some news that's coming out of Japan. And what that is, it has to do with the International Atomic Agency. 8 months ago, approved Japan to begin dumping all of the contaminated radioactive water from the Fukushima nuclear power plant into the Pacific Ocean off the coast of where the reactor was. And that process is complete. This last dump was 1,300,000 tons of contaminated water was dumped in the ocean. And the reason this was dumped in the ocean and the reason that they approved this because they're out of space. They ain't got any more room for storage tanks, and they need that ground for the decommissioning process to disassemble this reactor. Now, before we go much further, I want to caution you that there's going to be some disturbing images in this episode. So if you have some young children, they may not want to watch. You may not want to have them watch this episode because there's going to be some pictures of some dead birds and some other things that happened as a result of the Fukushima accident in 2012. The reason I'm talking about this report coming out of Japan today is because they've dumped all the water back into the ocean again, and they've started disassembling the holding tanks so they can begin that deconstruction process. Now, what does this mean? So we saw that this contamination reached all the way across the ocean, all the way to Southern California, went all the way up through Alaska, all the coast of Alaska, all the way down through Canada and Oregon and Washington, all the way down to some parts of Mexico. We can see here that was quite an area for what's contaminated. And also the most heavily contaminated area in the United States was the Hawaiian coastline, They got some of the most powerful radioactive water there of any place outside of Fukushima itself. We saw that this situation has caused a lot of problems for the marine life in the Pacific Ocean. We saw this thousands of dead seabirds in 2013, 2014, the thousands and thousands of dead seabirds. A test was done on the birds to find out why they died. There was absolutely no mention of the Fukushima radiation, which don't surprise me. Don't really want people to know that. But the official report claimed that these tens of thousands and thousands of seabirds all along the Aleutian Islands, all the way down to the coast in Southern California that died were emaciated. They're saying they couldn't find anything to eat. They're saying they starved to death is what they claimed happened to these birds. But, either the birds were sick from the radiation so they couldn't eat anything, or the small marine life which they used to sustain themselves was poisoned and died off because of the Fukushima contamination, so they couldn't find the food to eat. And also there's another incident right now where the NOAA is reviewing an application to place the Alaskan king salmon on the endangered species list, and it looks like that they've already passed the first hurdle and that there's a continuing review process. It looks like at some point here in 2025 that NOAA is going to approve the application, and the Alaskan king salmon is going to be considered an endangered species. They've already shut down all the fishing of the Alaskan king salmon. You can't catch any king salmon. They've severely curtailed the cod fishing and a lot of the other fish over there. There was having a lot of trouble last year trying to figure out where the crabs went and stuff because they weren't catching nothing. So there has been some real serious impact due to this Fukushima disaster, and it's still ongoing because they just finished dumping more contaminated water into the ocean over there, and it's going to have another impact. And it's very, very important that we understand how serious this is. We had talked about trying to get proper nutrition into our bodies. So now, if you're consuming products from the Pacific Ocean, now you have an additional concern. And that's at the heart of why I'm putting together this video today real quick, is because there is a solution to no vitamins and minerals in our food that we need to try to employ to be healthy before we can harvest our own vegetables. And most of our gardens, they're small, and you can't harvest or usually grow enough to sustain your family throughout the winter and in the next summer until next harvest. You know, we're not like the Pilgrims where we got 2-acre gardens. You know, we trying to grow enough food, and we're gonna can, all our food in mason jars, and we're gonna have a giant root cellar where we're gonna be able to survive all winter, and we're gonna be able to survive all spring and everything. Well, that's not what our gardening is. Our gardening is more of a hobby and fun, and trying to do the right thing and eat healthy food. That's what's going on in our gardens. So we're still going to need to do shopping. And like I said, I advocate to try to buy organics, because organics are a little bit better than non-organics as far as nutrition goes, but they're nowhere near what you can produce by using azomite in proper agrarian style gardening techniques and compost and manure and these other things to get the microbiome back into your soil. And what I do in order to try to meet that deficiency in my own personal life is I take a vitamin and mineral supplement. Now, there's a lot of them out there, and you got to be real careful about what it is that you're choosing for a supplement. The supplement that I'm using is called Irish sea moss. Now, it's very important that you listen to what I'm saying. Irish sea moss, meaning it's coming from the coast of Ireland. So there is the natural habitat for the coast of Ireland and Great Britain and Nova Scotia and Maine and New Hampshire. Some of this stuff grows in a very limited zone around the North Atlantic, where the waters are continually cold, and they're not affected by the Fukushima radiation. You got to be real careful, because just in preparation for this short episode, I was looking to find sources of Irish sea moss, and I actually found a source for Irish sea moss that was harvested in Hawaii. So that's not Irish sea moss, that's Pacific Ocean sea moss. So you need to be real careful when choosing a supplement of Irish sea moss, and make sure that it's being harvested from our local waters, from Ireland, from Iceland, in the cold Atlantic waters. That is the cleanest water on the earth as far as ocean water goes. It's clean as it could be, I suppose, with modern stuff going on. I mean, you definitely got to do your homework. You can't just go at the local store, oh, there's a bottle of sea moss. Beeman said that was good stuff, and just grab it, because it might not be Irish sea moss. It might say Irish sea moss on the bottle, but it came from the Philippines, or it came from Hawaii or someplace, because Irish sea moss don't grow over there. It only grows in the North Atlantic. And Irish sea moss contains 92 to 93 vitamins and minerals. It's a superfood, and it's probably one of the healthiest food that you could get on the planet besides silage. And silage is something that comes from the ground, but that's another episode. And you got to be real careful about that stuff, because it can have a lot of heavy metals and lead, and it can have a lot of other stuff. It needs to be tested. So the product that I use right now is this product right here. It's Irish sea moss, which I purchased at the alexjonesstore.com. And this particular product here that we're looking at is an Irish sea moss little gummy bear. It's a little gummy. And the daily dose is take 2 of those. You get all of the iodine that you need, all of the elements, trace minerals, and everything that your body needs to be healthy and help your organs function. Get rid of those cravings that you have, like your body's looking for something. Get rid of those cravings. And you can get multiple sources of Irish sea moss, and it can come in multiple ways. You can get bags of it, air-dried sea moss, harvested right from the ocean in its original form. You can get Irish sea moss gelatin. You can get Irish sea moss powder that you mix in with a drink or food. And these particular ones that I have is Irish sea moss gummies, and I actually believe that they're out of stock right now. But they do have Irish sea moss capsules. So it's Irish sea moss, which is dried and ground into a powder and placed into a capsule. And you can purchase that. I believe they have quite a bit of that available there. Or you can find another source for your Irish sea moss. But the reason why I wanted to bring up all this information and all this stuff is I want you to see the seriousness of what I'm talking about when I talk about Fukushima, selenium-137, radioactive contamination. It's in everything. I buy Vandy-Camp. If I buy frozen fish, I only buy Vandy-Camp because it's harvested. Most of it's harvested off the Grand Banks, and it comes through Gloucester, Massachusetts. A lot of it does. Some of it comes out of the waters near Iceland and stuff. You've got to be real careful on eating that Pacific stuff, especially now when they just finished dumping 1.3 million tons of waste into the Pacific Ocean again. So it's just the contamination levels way up again. You just gotta be very careful. And if you take the Irish sea moss, I can take this stuff and I feel great. I feel so much better. I just love the product. And it's a real solution. It's a real solution for the lack of the vitamins and minerals that are in our food. And I really believe that you'll enjoy the product, and it will be very helpful and beneficial to you if you try to get it into your diet. And you can get it in any form. Like I had said, you can get original raw Irish sea moss and still in its original form. You can get it ground, you can get it in gelatin, you can get gummies, you can get capsules. Probably the easiest, best way is to be very careful on the selection of the product that you choose to purchase and get it in capsule form. It'll probably be the most cost-effective way to do it. These gummies are kind of expensive. I bought, I think, 6 bottles of it. It ran me $250. And I know it was expensive, but I just feel so much better when I take it because my body's getting the vitamins and trace minerals from this superfood. It's a real replacement therapy for the lack of vitamins and minerals that we have in our food today. So if you would please consider it, I am grateful that you take the time to listen to this little edition. And unfortunately, unbeknown to me, is my battery wore out in my John Pullen Jr. lantern. Now remember that you are the Patriots, that this show is not about me, the show is about you and trying to help you to be better. I ask that you would subscribe to the program. I'd ask that you'd hit that like button and then also share it. We'll put it on your timeline, share it in your news feed on Facebook with your family and your friends. And please hang your lantern. We live in a time which is very, very interesting, and we all need to speak up and do our part. And you are the winning part of the program. And I thank you so much for tuning in. God bless.